Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Compass Point. On our Sunday messages, we are continuing to explore the fruit of the Spirit, what it means to enjoy it and to see it thrive in us and in our relationships with others. This coming Sunday, we are going to explore the fruit of peace. One of the things that you'll hear me say throughout this series in our Sunday messages is that the best way to evaluate how abundantly the fruit of the Spirit is flourishing in our lives is to look to Jesus. No one embodied the fruit of the Spirit more fully or more perfectly than Jesus Christ. And so if we want to try to measure how we are growing spiritually, one of the effective ways for us to do that is to look to Jesus, to see how he experienced and made the fruit of the Spirit a blessing for so many others. So the fruit of peace, how do we see that evident in the life of Jesus Christ as the Gospels record that? You know, it's interesting. I've been reading a collection of sermons for the last week or so, written by a prolific British preacher. He preached many years ago. David Martin Lloyd-Jones was his name. And his sermons were published under the title, The Life of Peace. A number of sermons that are all somehow connected to peace. And I was struck by one of the things that he said or wrote in one of those sermons. He writes this: one of the biggest themes in the Bible, something both the Old and New Testaments address frequently, is this: how a person can lie down and go to sleep. It's one of those statements that makes you take notice and ask, really? That's one of the big themes of the Bible, how a person can get a good night's sleep? Lloyd-Jones calls this one of the greatest problems of life: how to sleep well, how to rest. There's one particular verse in Psalm 4 that illustrates the blessing of sleep, the peace that we experience that allows for that. Psalm 4 verse 8 reads as follows: I will lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. It's something we all crave. Perhaps it's difficult for so many people now to experience that kind of peace, that ability to sleep well. So how is it that we see this evident in the life of Jesus Christ? What do the Gospels tell us about the sleeping habits of Jesus? Well, they do say something very interesting about that. Do you remember the story of how Jesus was with his disciples in the boat as they crossed the Sea of Galilee? How suddenly a storm erupted that was so frightening and dangerous that the disciples feared that they were going to drown. They did their best to try to stay afloat, but to no avail, and so they cry out to Jesus to help them. And what is Jesus doing? He's sleeping. Many people see that as a sign of apathy or indifference. Jesus doesn't seem to care about the serious situation that his disciples are in. He's sleeping on the job, so to speak. But that's not what's going on here at all. The image of Jesus sleeping in the boat is an image of profound trust, childlike faith, the perfect Son of God who could be in perfect peace in the midst of a frightening storm. The most important part of that gospel story is that Jesus gets up, he rebukes the wind and the waves, and he creates peace. Everything is restored to calm and wholeness. It's what Jesus did on a far greater level when he faced another storm. The storm which you might literally refer to as the perfect storm, the storm he faced on the cross, when he defeated powers that weren't just associated with wind and rain and weather, but the powers of sin and death. Those powers he also conquered and defeated, restoring creation to peace once more, peace with God, ultimately. How did he do this? By sleeping. Not by sleeping in a boat or anywhere else, but by sleeping the sleep of death on his cross. This is what he did for us. This is how we experience ultimate peace, peace with God. Even there on the cross, he experienced that childlike faith and trust as in his dying words he prayed, quoting the Psalms, the bedtime prayer that many, many children of his age said before they went to sleep. Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. What words of trust and assurance on the lips of Jesus as he died. And the greatest result of all of that, of course, is that we have peace, peace with God. Not just a good night's sleep, although it certainly includes that, but peace with God. The only way to enjoy the peace of God is to first experience peace with God. I'll explore that more fully on Sunday. And when we experience that relationship with Jesus Christ, we have abundant peace. It enables us to face all of the storms of life with confidence and assurance. We can sleep well, and even more profoundly, rest well in the sovereign love of God in Jesus Christ. I look forward to sharing more with you on that this coming Sunday. In the meantime, be well and be blessed.